Hello, fellow collectors. Frank back here with another TTM show. TTM stands for Through the Mail. These are Through the Mail autographs that I get from sports players. Today I have a very special one from a former Major League pitcher, from someone may call a TTM legend, and his special son. Let's get right at it here. Here we have 2 items sent, 2 items signed, 28 days, $10 fee, out of Indiana. We have Mr. Carl Erskine and his son, Jimmy Erskine. I have him on this photo that I put together with some pictures and news articles, and got him here on this card as well with the inscription number 17. This is on a 2008 Donruss thread card. Looking nice with the black ink there. With that right over there. We'll talk a little bit more about Mr. Carl Erskine and Jimmy Erskine. This, first off, we got him right there. That's Carl's signature. This is Carl Daniel Erskine. Was born on December 13th, 1926 in Anderson, Indiana. He was a right-handed throw-in pitcher that was initially signed by the Brooklyn Dodgers out of high school in 1946. He broke into big leagues in 1948 at 21 with the Brooklyn Dodgers. How it all kind of got started while he was in the minors in 1947. Jackie Robinson came on board the Brooklyn Dodgers as the first African-American player in Major League history. After pitching 5 innings in a challenging game in the spring of 1948, Robinson, who had watched Erskine pitch that game, befriended him and said, "You're going to be with us real soon." Truly inspired, with a great sense of optimism, Robinson's prediction came true. Later that year, Erskine joined the Brooklyn Dodgers, making his Major League debut in July. Well, in all, Mr. Carl Erskine played 12 seasons in the majors, 1948 to 1959, with the Brooklyn, then Los Angeles Dodgers when they moved to LA in 58. And Brooklyn, his nickname was Oisk. During his career, he pitched in 5 World Series with Brooklyn, winning it all with them in 1955. As you see, that's a little clipping from a news article. Dodgers capture first World Series. Padres wins 2-0. That was the game winner there. He appeared 11 games of the World Series, ranking him 10th on the all-time World Series appearance list. He held the World Series single game strikeout record of 14 against the New York Yankees set in 1953, later broken by Sandy Koufax with 15 in 1963, then Bob Gibson with 17 in 1968. He pitched 2 no-hit, no-run games against the Chicago Cubs in 1950. That was Chicago Cubs in what year? 1952. And here we got the first one here. This was from the New York Times. I put that in there. And I offered Mr. Erskine and his family a copy of this as well. See, with the gang afterwards. And he also pitched the second one versus the Dodgers in 1956. As that's the article there. And here's him and Jackie. Look like they're doing some signing together. Brooklyn players Jackie Robinson, pitcher Carl Erskine signed baseball for fan during a 1956 Goodwill tour to Japan. A little bit more about Mr. Erskine's career. He led the National League with 20 wins and 6 losses for .769 win-loss percentage in 1953. Finished in 9th in MVP voting, tied with Dodgers teammate right fielder Carl Furillo. Dodgers battery mate Roy Campanella won the MVP that year. He was selected to an All-Star game once with the National League in 1954. Closing out the game with two-thirds of innings, allowing no earned runs, with one hit and a strikeout in an 11-9 loss to the American League. He won a career 122 games, lost 78 for a .610 winning percentage. He recorded an even 4.00 ERA while walking 646, allowing 1,637 hits and striking out 981 and 1,718 two-thirds innings pitch. He had 71 complete games, 14 shutouts, and 13 saves. Following his retirement in 1959, Erskine returned to his native Indiana. Right away, dived into new endeavors. In 1960, he worked as a color commentator for Saturday afternoon telecasts of Major League games on ABC, teaming with play-by-play announcer Jack Buck. He coached at Anderson College for 12 seasons, including 4 Hoosier Conference championships, and his 1965 squad went 20-5 and reached the NAIA World Series. He also became a leader in his Anderson, Indiana community and beyond, participating in numerous organizations and businesses. He served as a member of the advisory board of the baseball assistance team, a 501c3 nonprofit organization dedicated to helping former Major League, minor league, and Negro League players through financial and medical difficulties. And for the past 75 years, Mr. Erskine has been a devoted husband and father. He married Betty Palmer on October 5th, 1947. They raised 4 children, Danny, Gary, Susan, and Jimmy, who you see there. Jimmy has Down syndrome. Carl and Betty were pioneers and advocated for those with intellectual disabilities. Jimmy turned 62 in April 2022, lives at home, and held a job at Applebee's for many years, celebrating his 20th anniversary in 2020. And so there was a Facebook post about Jimmy, which I'm going to try to put up on the screen there, from March 9, 2020, celebrating his 20th year at Applebee's. And it says, thanks to the employment supports Jimmy Erskine received from Hope Wealth Center, Ark in Madison County. He recently celebrated his 20th anniversary at Applebee's in Anderson, Indiana. The special day was celebrated with his father, Carl Erskine. The Erskine Green Training Institute is named in honor of Carl Erskine and Steve Green. Many know Carl for his career with the Brooklyn Dodgers. Carl's book, The Parallel, which is actually right there, which I got for him in a previous return, and he signed that in, and his son signed it too, details the similarities of the journeys of Jackie Robinson, who broke baseball's color barrier in 1947, and Jimmy, reflecting on how both overcame prejudice and rejection to achieve acceptance and inclusion. So according to, I'm going to put that up there, according to a documentary filmmaker, Ted Green, if I can keep that there, who's working on a documentary about Carl Erskine due out in the summer of 2022, which would be cool to see. Carl and his wife Erskine's impact is on both the micro and macro level when it comes to people with intellectual disabilities. He says, Jimmy was born in 1960 and expected to live into his mid-30s. At best, Green explained, last April he turned 61. He works at Applebee's. He worked at Applebee's for 20 years and competed in the Special Olympics for 50 years. He was a Special Olympian as well, so he is an athlete as well, like his dad. Now, when people are born with Down syndrome, this is what they can expect. It's because of the pioneering work of Carl, Betty, and other parents. At the start of the 20th century, Indiana was one of the worst places for people who were intellectually challenged, according to Green. Now, by many measures, Indiana is at the top shelf, he said. kudos to Indiana. The Special Olympics in 2020, even though there was virtual participation and it was thrice as high as the next highest state. People there at the very beginning of the Special Olympics, the Hopewell Center, will tell you Carl and Betty were the most responsible. Kudos to Carl and Betty Erskine. Kudos to Jimmy Erskine, state of Indiana, and etc. I'm going to put some links to some articles down there. Like this one article, I recommend a read. It's just a short read. It's kind of a summary of this book here. Erskine recalls lessons learned from Jackie Robinson and his own son. Depending on when you're watching this coming Monday, March 21st, is World Down Syndrome Day, which is celebrated every March 21st. It's a global awareness day which has been officially observed by the United Nations since 2012. The date for World Down Syndrome Day being the 21st day of the third month was selected to signify the uniqueness of the triplication trisomy of the 21st chromosome, which causes Down syndrome. So if you know a little bit about Down syndrome, it's a condition in which a person is born with an extra chromosome. And chromosomes, I'm not going to get too deep into science here, but I think it's important. Chromosomes are small packages of genes in the body. They determine how a baby's body forms and functions as they grow during pregnancy and after birth. Typically, a baby is born with 46 chromosomes. Babies with Down syndrome have an extra copy of one of these chromosomes, chromosome 21. So they have an extra chromosome. They have something extra. It's a 21st chromosome, and that's the significance of March 21st. A medical term for having an extra copy of a chromosome is trisomy, Trisomy. Down syndrome is also referred to as trisomy 21. This extra copy changes how the baby's body and brain develop, which can cause both mental and physical challenges for the baby. Very important here, even though people with Down syndrome might act and look similar, each person has different abilities. People with Down syndrome usually have an IQ, a measure of intelligence, in the mildly to moderate low range, or slower to speak than other children. And I'm going to put a link down there to a little description about that, and description about World Down Syndrome Day, and and a couple other those articles, so you can read them if you would like. So this March 21st, depending on when you're watching this, please be aware this is World Down Syndrome Day, and certainly if you see anybody out there who has that condition, if you know that person, maybe, just say hi to them and tell them how proud you are of them, and so on and so forth. Most people with Down syndrome are capable of living a comfortable and joyful life. There's struggles that come along with it. Some may have lower functioning and may need group homes and supports and so on and so forth. Some may also have more function and be able to live on their own, or even hold down jobs like Jimmy, which worked at Applebee's for 20 years. So just awareness. We've come a long way over the last 50 plus years, but there's still a lot of prejudice out there towards people with disabilities. And I've seen it firsthand. My wife's brother had Down syndrome. I knew him briefly before I married him. Married her. I didn't marry him. I met him briefly. He lived in a group home. I grew up around that. My mother drove a bus for people with disabilities. I worked with people with disabilities for a few years early in my career. It's something in my heart, that I feel like people with disabilities, people with Down syndrome are still not valued out there. And I just wanted to bring a little awareness here about Down syndrome and introduce you to Jimmy Erskine. And of course, his father, Carl Erskine. Great pitcher for the Dodgers. Great trailblazer in the field of services for people with disabilities. You know, like my wife's parents as well. You know, were in that era as well, and they similar. You know, in this area up in Massachusetts, they were responsible for getting up and running like the Arc over here and stuff like that. So let's not take these things for granted. You know, these things haven't always been there for people who need help. Anyways, get off my pulpit here and get back to TTM. Thank you for joining me. I'll be talking to you soon. Take care. God bless. Thank you, Mr. Erskine, Mr. Carl Erskine, and Mr. Jimmy Erskine, and the Erskine family. They've been very nice to me. The first time they sent me that book free of charge. They sent me my money back and sent me this card as well here, you know, and another card too that was addressed to my son. Anyways, I know these are a little longer videos. I hope you stuck with me. You know, try to do these longer videos maybe on the weekend, like Saturdays and stuff. Do shorter videos during the week. All right, I'll talk to you soon. All right, take care. God bless. Peace.